What's up, everybody? Here we are again. Today's going to be Wednesday, and for me on Wednesdays, I really focus on target switching. Target switching is basically going to be combining your tracking and your flicking and your clicking. So you're going to do a flick, whether that's off screen, on screen, you're flicking to a target, and then most of the time you're going to have a small track depending on the TTK of the game. Because my flicking and clicking is probably what I'm the worst at, my target switching also is suffering, and I just feel like target switching is pretty boring of something to work on. I hate to say that, but it is. I think it's just because there's only so many different variations of things that you can do. You know, everything is going to be flick and then a small track. It's either going to be small, it's going to be far, 360, or it's all going to be on your screen. There's not much variation that you can do, and I think that's why it gets a little boring. That's why I really don't have a lot of stuff that I like, a bunch of different scenarios. It's going to be a few, I think about 5 or 6 is basically all I have, and I do them for about 5-10 minutes. I try to really push for that 10 minutes. Sometimes it does get a little hard to get that 10 minutes. If I do get bored, I don't want to waste my time, so if I'm bored, then I'll stop focusing. So I'll just switch to a different target switching scenario. But for the most part, this is usually what I do. So I'm kind of going to go through what I do. Target switching is the fancy stuff. It is what looks flashy. It is what people usually will report you for. It's going to be like a crazy target switch. And I think the people are just preconditioned because there is so many cheaters in games nowadays. The first one is Lap TS Dodge Park Easy. I really like this scenario in particular. First of all, you are going to be moving, and then the targets move in a way that is not uniform. So every target is kind of moving a little bit differently. They're going to be a little bit further away. They're going to be a little bit closer. Some are not moving at all. Some are moving in big movements. Some are moving in small movements. So that's why I really like that one. It is pretty difficult. But like I said, I do that for about 5 or 10 minutes. I really try to focus on it. And so it's really good. That's going to be my very first thing that I do usually when I do target switching, is that it kind of sets the tone for everything. I'm going to say it's probably quite a bit. Moving and target switching, I think, is super important because most of the time in game, you're going to be moving and your target's going to be moving. So if you could practice that while you're aim training, I think it's going to be very beneficial for you in the long term. Just like when I said in tracking, you know, moving and tracking at the same time is going to be super important. And then what we're also doing here next will be OS Pulse Switching 360. I like this one. This one's really cool. I like the 360 scenarios a lot because working on those further flicks, those longer mouse movements is usually where I'm the least accurate at. So I try to focus on those. And one thing that you don't want to do is kind of how I started off here, just going between, you know, up and down, and then going right the whole time, getting to the end of your mouse pad, and then coming left, going up, down, up, down. You don't want to do that. I like to kind of skip over targets and kind of switch it up and make decisions as I'm going, just like I would in game. You know, when you're playing in game, you're going to have to make decisions of which target you're going to focus on. If one guy is shooting at you, one guy is not, you always want to be focusing on the guy that is shooting at you. I mean, it's pretty basic, but that's kind of my thought process with it, is if the one that's the largest threat is who you want to be focusing on. If someone's not a threat, yes, they're an easy kill, but they're going to be an easy kill after you kill the guy that's shooting at you. You know what I mean? That guy that's shooting at you is the most important enemy on your screen, and that's who you want to prioritize when you start shooting at him. Like I said, in most of these, we really want to not be worried about our score in the scenario. We want to be focused on building good habits for the games that we're playing. Next thing that I focus on is going to be Pat Target Switching Dodge 360. This is another movement scenario here. You are going to be moving and then the target is going to be moving. I'm not the biggest fan of these, targets with the heads on them. I really prefer them to just either be a circle or them either be a pill. If anybody else is with me and just has like that weird, if something's weird about them being like that, just let me know. I'd like to hear from y'all, see what if y'all notice any difference between the two. For me, I don't know why, it just freaking bothers me. I can't put my finger on it. I just make them pills, okay? And then when we do these, like I said, you're gonna be moving and then the target is also gonna be moving. And that's really what you're going to be focusing on when you're playing the game anyway, is because most of the time that they're going to be moving and you also are going to be moving. So really focusing on that, that is something that I think a lot of people neglect when they're doing aim training, is that they don't move enough. And I was guilty of this when I first started. I would just be doing static scenarios, like I'm sitting still, and then as I play the game, I notice that my aim is worse because I'm moving all the time, you know. So I really try to focus on moving as I go and moving as I'm doing these, and working on clean lines. You know, I say it in the clicking and flicking video. Clean lines is super important, and we're going to be carrying that over from them, or from those scenarios to this scenario, is what we really want to be doing, because it is all a foundation. Next is going to be Smoothbot TS Voltaic, and I do the easy scenario. I mean, I'm not very good, so I like to do, most of the time I do the easy scenarios, and when I get better, you know, I'll step up. I mean, we want to progress in a way that's comfortable for our skill level. We don't want to be doing scenarios that are for, you know, Celestial and Astra level aim trainers when we are not that level. We want to be focusing on things that we can do. I like these because you have a flick and then you're doing a smooth tracking on that scenario, or on those targets, I apologize. And those are great because that's like, say if someone's running across the street, two guys, and they're running basically in a smooth pattern, you want to be able to track those guys. Those should be easy beams for anybody that plays a game. You know, if they're running out in the open, easy beams. They should be easy kills, easy for you to track, and this is just going to be working on that. Next, the thing that I'm going to work on is just going to be TS360 far dodge. These targets are very, very small, and these very, very small ones, just like in flicking and clicking, we want to be working on precision here. This isn't really about being fast. This is about being precise and making sure that we can get on these targets as accurately as possible. You need to have a balance between speed and accuracy. I try not to push my speed when I'm playing faster than I know that I can get there accurately, and that is going to be key. So I do feel like we have to balance speed and accuracy. We really want to be accurate and we really need to get fast, but if you're not fast currently, I mean, just flicking across your screen, you might flick, you know, way past that guy. And then one thing that I feel too that I need to mention as well is when you're doing target switching, stay aim down sight. That's one of the things that mouse and key has over controller, is we can move our crosshairs fast while we're aim down sight. So take advantage of that. Next, Vox 360 Strafe, smaller and faster. This is also going to be a small scenario. These smaller ones, I also kind of feel like they're going to be great because it's like, well, you know, if the person is on a head glitch, you know, you really want to be able to attack that person that's on that head glitch. Next is this 4BK 360 Dodge TS Static. This one's a little bit more for speed for me because they are static, but I am still moving. 4BK, if anybody doesn't know, his name is 4Bangers Kovacs. He makes some of the best playlists and scenarios that you can think of. I talked to him, he said he kind of use his name in these videos, kind of showcase some of the things that I use because I just think they're so good. I think I'm going to make a full dedicated video to all the things that I use of his because there's just so much that I use. So really focusing on being clean and really pushing that speed is what we're going to be trying to do there. And like I said, let me get back to what I was talking about with the head glitch. Controller and mouse and key, that is one of the advantages that we have on mouse and key, is working on those head glitches, because on a controller, they can't control recoil as good as you can on mouse and key, and they have their aim assist is on such a small target that it should be an easy kill for us. Those not really easy because it is still a head glitch, but it should be easier for us to be able to beat those head glitches being on mouse and key. Let's see. Next thing that I do is I use the voltaic scenarios. I have a playlist that is just for the voltaic scenarios for the target switching. I don't put a lot of my, like a lot of time into voltaic scenarios. I really use it as a way that I can measure my progress on how I'm improving. You might not be able to notice in game or when you're training that you're getting better. But if you do the voltaic, you set up your account in there, they will track the scores that they have for their certain playlist. And then they have all the separate different kind of aim categories, and you can really see what you're deficient in and what you really need to work on. And that's what I like. I want to see what I am the worst at, and I want to make those things better. And I also want to know what I'm good at so that I can really lean into that when I need to. So I did notice that my target switching and my clicking is really what I'm the weakest at, because that's what I have the lowest scores in. So I did make a full playlist that is just the Season 5 target switching scenarios, and I work on those. And I do that because I noticed that my target switching is bad. You know, if your target switching is bad, you need to work on your target switching. And I think that's just the easiest way to do it. I do have a whole day that is just for the voltaic scenarios to see where I'm at, how my progress has been, and just be able to track it with data, which I feel is super important. If you can, if you're able to, I really recommend doing the voltaic scenarios, but don't, dedicate yourself to them, because there's a lot of ways that you can cheese the voltaic stuff. There's a lot of ways that you can cheat and get a high score. Not really cheat, but take advantage of the way that the scenarios are set up and get high scores. And I don't feel like that's the way that we should be training. I feel like the way that we should be training is what we're going to be doing in game, and then transferring everything that we need to do in game and finding practice scenarios for that. And that's really what I do. The next thing that I would do, probably if I have more time, is I would just find a target switching playlist from 4BK or any of the many different playlists that they have, and just run through those and work on my target switching as much as I can. I really have been slacking a lot on aim training, if I'm being honest with y'all. Battlefield 6 has just been so much fun. I do have a few things that I want to talk about Battlefield, kind of just how I feel about it. What I really like, what I don't really like. What I really like for me is probably going to be my biggest thing, is just feeling like the people that made this game cared about the players. They really cared about the product that they made, and it feels like the game has a soul. Whereas Call of Duty, it really hasn't felt like it's had a soul in a long time. I really feel like they are just make a game, put it out, move on to the next one, make a game, put it out, move on to the next one. And that's really all that matters. And then use AI as much as possible and just put that slop for us to pay for. So it is really refreshing playing a game that feels like it was made by people, that feels like it was made by people that love the game, that really want the game to be fun. I think that's what I like the most about this. Mouse input, it feels worse than it did in the beta. I don't know if it's because they added more bloom, which I understand it needs to be in the game 100%. If not, then you're just going to be like Call of Duty, where you could just kill people from 200 meters away. So I really like that the bloom is in the game. I do feel like I don't know if that's what's making my aim the input feel bad. I'm not 100% sure. I did recently switch from playing on 0 monitor coefficient, that's what I played on for the longest time, to 1.78. I really want my aim down sight sensitivity to feel as much like my hipfire sense as possible, so all my aim training practice kind of comes over. I really don't feel like making it super less than my hipfire sense is going to be great for my aim. That's just kind of what I'm working with right now. I'm kind of seeing how it goes. It feels great. That has made the game feel a lot better, made the mouse input feel a little bit better. My first couple of games, I didn't even know this, but my game was set in 4K. Like, I don't have a PC that can handle 4K. And I was like, why am I only getting 60 frames? It felt terrible. And playing mouse and key on 60 frames, I don't know if you've ever done it, but it is very difficult. And then I realized that I'm in 4K, and I'm like, oh, that makes total sense. My game can't handle 4K. As soon as I switched to 1440p, it felt so much better. Let's see, what else do I have in my notes talking about this? Okay, the maps. Not really the biggest fan of a lot of the maps. I think my favorite map is really going to be Firestorm. It's a remake. I had never really played Firestorm, so to me it's brand new. So let's just say that I'm enjoying it for the first time myself. Liberation Peak, really like it. This one right here, Mirak Valley, I really like it. And then Sobek City. I think I really like the full-sized, full conquest experience with tanks and vehicles and helicopters, as annoying as they are. I really like them. Those are the ones that I'm really leaning into. There is a couple portal scenarios that are just for those large-scale maps. The two maps in New York, I don't like them. I think they're too congested, they're too small. If they would just stretch them out a little bit, they would play so much better. Not a big fan. Let's see. The solo experience, it is kind of lacking, but I feel like that's any multiplayer game, so we can't really knock Battlefield for that. Any multiplayer game that you play, if you play it by yourself, it's not going to be as much fun if you're playing it with the boys. You know, if you're playing it with the boys, it makes the game so much more fun. Just experiencing everything that Battlefield has to offer, the story that gets told on the battlefield as you're playing, you know, creating those moments that you remember for a long time. That's really what multiplayer is all about, I feel like. And I think people really lost sight of that because of the skill-based matchmaking that has been in Call of Duty for so long, that you can't just play with all your boys, you know what I mean? If some of your friends aren't as good as you, they're gonna have a bad time. Or if you play with somebody else that's way better than you, you're gonna have a bad time. And just being able to play this game and just be able to have fun has been very refreshing. This is the most fun I think I've had since Warzone first came out. That game, it was a lot more fun when it first came out. So this is like the most fun I've had in a multiplayer game since then. It has just been so refreshing and so much fun. Let's see. I think that's everything that I have. I do feel like Battlefield's great. I'm really excited for the Battle Royale. I don't want the Battle Royale to affect the multiplayer and make the multiplayer worse for the big Battlefield fanatics. I don't want it to be like Warzone. I do want it to compete with Warzone so that Warzone will be better. So that Warzone will get better and actually have to try and make the game better for us as the consumer. So I think really think that Battlefield has been putting pressure on them. And if their Battle Royale just comes out and kills it, it will be great for us as the consumer. Like the competition, whether you're a big fan of Battle Royales or not, you don't want it in Battlefield, whatever it is, it doesn't matter because it's coming out. It's going to be there. I mean, get over it. But if it makes it good, if they make a good Battle Royale, then it will make other Battle Royales have to try a little bit harder. And I think that's great for us as the consumer, for the community. Another thing I did want to mention to y'all is I am teaching myself how to edit in these videos. So if y'all know anything, if y'all realize anything that I could do to make these maybe a little bit more interesting, if you want more scenarios, if you just want me to make some videos of just gameplay, no commentary, maybe with commentary, I don't know. Just let me know what y'all would want to see, what would be interesting to y'all, if I can include more or less or something, something that I can do just to make it a little more interesting. That would be great. I would really appreciate it. I mean, these videos are basically just documenting my journey, so I want them to be more informative, but if y'all want to see just like gameplay, something like that, just let me know. I'm down for whatever, all right? For gaming in general. And that's all I have for y'all guys today. I hope y'all have a great day. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'll see y'all guys in the next one. Thank you.